We're here now with Monica Sandschafer, who's the Arizona director of Mi Familia Vota, and we're going to talk citizenship. The organization is having upcoming citizenship fairs and has been doing this work for a very long time. And obviously, this is a topic that is always critically important, particularly to anyone who's eligible for that option in their lives, but even more so now, perhaps than ever, because of the circumstances that you heard just described in the opening segment of this show. Monica, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Let's just begin, first of all, with what you have on the table in terms of your organization. You have citizenship fairs that maybe are going on now and also are coming up soon.
That's right. So we have an information session on June 3rd, and that's where folks can come. We have an attorney present as well as our team. They come and they learn about the process, the application, what kinds of documents they need to have, double check their eligibility and all of that. And then on June 14th, we have an actual citizenship fair where we'll have attorneys and volunteers who are trained to help fill out the applications and have them checked by the attorneys, and hopefully folks leave that ready to go to send their application in. And it's all free.
And it's all free. Thank you for pointing that out. The people that come to the fair, do they have to have attended the first meeting?
Yeah, we need folks to attend the info session so that they come to the fair prepared to actually fill out the application.
Okay. Have you seen an uptick in interest by people in the community to events like this?
You know, what we're seeing is a mix. I think some folks are afraid to interact with USCIS in any way because of concerns that ICE will show up at the appointments. And then we're seeing a lot of interest because folks are realizing now is the time. Yeah. That they need to finalize their status, formalize their citizenship so that they have a sense of permanency here in the U.S. One of the things that we try to emphasize is that legal permanent residency is a bit of a misnomer because it isn't actually permanent. It has to be renewed every 10 years, and it can be taken away. As of now, U.S. citizenship doesn't get taken away. So that's your best bet, an extra layer of protection, and to be able to stay in the United States if that's what you want to do.
An ominous reference there to as of now, our citizenship cannot be taken away because we don't know what's happening sometimes from day to day in this administration. In terms of when people reach out to you, are these people who have been eligible perhaps for years to apply for citizenship and maybe have just not done it, not gotten around to it? Is that kind of typical, or? Yeah,
that is typical for the folks that reach out to us. So, you know, the application itself is expensive. It's almost $700. And so for some folks, that's prohibitive. Mm-hmm. Sometimes folks are intimidated by the English requirements or the civic education requirements. And so, you know, they feel like, well, legal permanent residency provides me a lot of protections or a lot of opportunities, so I'll stay with this. Okay. And then now, again, we're seeing folks going, oh, yeah, maybe I need to take this extra step. One of the things that we're adding into our citizenship program is citizenship and civic education and English classes. So classes to help folks prepare for that because, again, it is an intimidating process for folks.
You do have to have a certain level of English proficiency to become a U.S. citizen. Is that right?
Yeah, you have to have some. So it can be conversational, but also you have to be able to answer the questions. So there's a list of 100 questions. You have to be able to answer, I think it's 7 out of 10 of the ones that they choose to ask you. And so you have to know all 100. Yeah. And you have to know them in English. And so again, for some folks that's prohibitive. Yeah. That's why we're providing the classes so people can really feel prepared and confident.
Yeah, on a somewhat lighter note, I mean, I think we've all seen, I don't know if it's Jimmy Kimmel or whoever used to do that late night where they would just ask people on the street questions about U.S. government or history, and people don't know anything. They very often don't. They have no idea, and so it's an interesting challenge for anyone.
Yeah, it would be unsurprising to me if there's a significant number of American-born, English-speaking American citizens who would fail those tests.
Who could do this? That's the thing that's interesting. Where are you seeing people come from in terms of who's coming to these events now? Are they primarily still from Mexico, broadly Latin America, around the world? What's the makeup?
Primarily the folks that come to us are folks who, for whom Spanish is their first language. And so they're primarily from Mexico and other countries and countries in Central and Latin America. However, we do know that there is an uptick also for refugees, for example, for asylees also applying for citizenship from other countries with organizations that have those languages available.
Okay. And I asked that question in part because I've seen reports of people who, particularly last year when there were so many people arriving at the border seeking asylum, that those were people coming from all over the world.
Yeah, there were a lot of Haitians, for example, who were coming. Russians, yeah. Those folks would not be eligible yet to apply for citizenship. So they're in a different process.
Yeah. And then do folks who are applying for citizenship typically have legal representation aside from maybe the assistance that you guys can provide?
So you can have an attorney and take an attorney in with you to the interview. In general, that's a good idea if you can afford that, given what's going on right now in particular. However, most of the people that we work with are not working with attorneys. Yeah. And that's partly why they're coming to us, right? Yeah, because they don't have the money to pay for the entire process of having an attorney in addition to the fees that immigration charges.
And they don't necessarily need an attorney to go through this process. So
that's right. You don't have to have an attorney. You can bring an interpreter if you qualify to take the test in Spanish. If you're of a certain age and have been here long enough, you can take an interpreter with you. But you don't really need an attorney. You simply need to be prepared and answer the questions.
Yeah. And then who are the people that, in terms of your organization, who are the folks who help them?
So we've been really excited about the response from community members to help folks with citizenship. There's been a real exciting response there. So we have volunteers, community members from all different sectors, walks of life, coming to help us. We definitely need bilingual volunteers, but we'll end up with some who speak English only, and then we'll have folks translate for them. We then have an attorney train them, and then we also have attorneys. And so every application is seen by an attorney, and the volunteers can ask the questions of the attorneys too as they're filling out the application.
Do you find that most of the people who show up, particularly to your first kind of clearinghouse meeting, if you will, and then proceed, are most of these people actually eligible? Or do you have a lot of folks who just think they're eligible and maybe not?
Almost 100% of them are in fact eligible. So we do some screening questions ahead of time to help them figure that out. And especially talk to them, for example, if they may have some speeding tickets, some other minor criminal charges or something like that. We work with them ahead of time to talk through some of that even before they come to the info session. So we do a lot of pre-work to help make sure folks are fully prepared. Mm-hmm. So to be eligible, just to clarify, you have to have 5 years of legal permanent residency. If you're married to a U.S. citizen and that's how you got your legal permanent residency, then it's 3 years. Or if you served in the military and that's how you got your legal permanent residency, then it's 3 years.
Okay.
But generally, most folks have to have had their green card for 5 years.
And in terms of your background, in addition to what you just described, do you have to be completely void of sort of any interaction with police or law enforcement authorities, like speeding tickets or having crossed undocumented and been detected? Or, does it have to be like a clean slate?
It does not have to be a clean slate. So I think that is something also that folks worry about, that, I crossed undocumented, or I got caught working with a fake name or social security number. It's complicated because it depends on how much they disclose that stuff earlier in the process. If immigration was already aware of those things, for example, and decided to sort of forgive them along in the process. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we always make sure to have them talk to an attorney, because it really is case by case. It's the totality of the circumstances of the person's case. And so that's why we have them speak with an attorney.
Okay.
But if anybody has any kinds of questions about that, that is exactly the kind of stuff that we can help you figure out. And we can help you figure it out for free without having to pay an attorney to get those questions answered.
Yeah. Do they always have to do that in person, or can they call you? Do you have a hotline of some sort?
Yes, we do have a phone number. It's 1-833-VOTAMOS. So what that means is the number is 1-833-868-2667.
Okay.
So it's 1-833-868-2667, or you can email azinfo@mifamiliavota.org.
And when they call in, people call them back typically, or do you have actually a hotline where people kind of pick up the phone and answer questions?
It is not a 24/7 hotline, so we do encourage folks to go ahead and leave a message. We will get back to you.
yeah. Going back for a moment to the people who are applying to become citizens, are you finding that they're mostly older folks who've been here for quite a long time, and how long? And then do you have any idea of, like, just in the state of Arizona or even nationwide, how many people are eligible who just haven't taken that next step?
The numbers that we've seen are that there are 104,000 folks eligible in Arizona.
In Arizona?
In Arizona alone.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
And that's a number that those folks applied, became citizens, and then voted. Those are numbers that determine elections up and down the ballot. That's also folks who then can be applying for adjustments of statuses for their family members, right? Those are folks that, can be more fully integrated into our society by being citizens.
Yeah.
So
just opens all sorts of benefits, obviously.
It really does. It opens all sorts of doors, and it's an extra layer of protection in a time of uncertainty.
Yeah. And do you find that the people are applying what do they say is sort of the biggest single reason, perhaps, that they just haven't gotten around to it?
We haven't been asking folks that.
Okay.
What we have been asking them is, why are they applying now? And what we're hearing is concern about the political climate. Yeah.
Understood. Okay. Yeah. And let's close with what do they need to know about your citizenship fair?
Yes, please call or email. So our email is azinfo@mifamiliavota.org, and the phone number is 1-833-868-2667. RSVP for our info session on June 3rd. And then once you've participated in that and you're ready to go for the fair, then you can come on June 14th and we will help you fill out your application and have attorneys there to review them and talk with you about any of your concerns. They're both in Phoenix. And once you RSVP, then you'll get the addresses.
Okay. Monica Sandschafer is the Arizona director for Mi Familia Vota, a national organization that does this kind of work and other work on the ground in terms of grassroots political empowerment. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, James Garcia. You're listening